I'm always curious to talk to founders of startups because I find they have the most interesting stories.
I learned a lot doing things wrong. I learned from my mistake. I'm now in the process of correcting my mistakes
I feel like most people are terrified of failing.
because I've seen myself fail and I've seen myself succeed.
Is there any value that you see to entrepreneurs, salespeople, to developing that public persona? What do you see as the value of that trust building through creating content?
Yeah, it's massive.
I am joined here today with Yasmina Fahmy. She specializes in scaling SaaS companies through cutting edge business strategy, digital transformation, and strategic partnerships. Her focus is on building the future of tech and empowering teams to achieve market leadership. Yasmina founded Qualified AI Leads, an AI-based lead generation service replacing outdated tactics with AI-powered intelligence, expert strategy, and seamless automation. Yasmina, it is a pleasure to have you on the show today. I've really been looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Thank you, Arthur. The pleasure is all mine, and thanks for the amazing intro. So I would like to thank everyone for watching this episode. Actually, it's my honor and pleasure to be with Arthur on this podcast. And let's dig deep into any questions you have.
Let's get into it. Let's have some fun here.
Yeah.
So we actually, before recording today, we did have a little pre-call here, and
Yeah.
Yasmina shared some of her background and her story with me. And I'll be honest, I almost wish I was recording that call because I was enjoying it. I was enjoying it so much. But Yasmina, I'm always curious to talk to founders of startups because I find they have the most interesting stories
Yeah.
of how they got there. They tend to be people who've lived, slightly unusual lives, have lived outside the box. And so you were
Yeah.
sharing some stories of some of the first companies that you started
Yeah.
and that journey of how you've gotten here. Can you take us through some of that journey?
Well, as you've mentioned, it was a bit of a challenge, and it really is up to the moment. But the beauty of it is that I learned a lot doing things wrong. I learned from my mistakes, and I'm now in the process of correcting my mistakes in my recent company, which is to me self-rewarding thing because I've seen myself fail and I've seen myself succeed, and now I know the hard way how to get things done. So let me give you tips and tricks about my previous companies and the lessons learned that I have managed to collect the hard way,
One
as I've mentioned.
one thing I just want to add here because I love what you said there about how you've failed many times and through that you've learned and that's helped you to get to where you are now. And I just want to talk about that real quick because I feel like most people are terrified of failing. I feel like we've kind of been
Yeah.
taught in our education system the only acceptable answer is to get perfect. You got to get 100%. You got to get an A on the test. If you make a mistake, that's bad, that's wrong. But as an entrepreneur, do you feel that like failure is actually a necessary part, almost to be encouraged to
Yeah.
to fail along the way?
Well, this is an illusion that people believe, which we have learned in our school days and graduation projects, is that you need to succeed. But in practice, on the ground, the key to success is failure. Because if you think about it, if you haven't failed and you didn't know and experience the wrong things, you will never be able to correct it. So without failure, success will never, ever happen. And if it happened, be sure that it will be temp success and it will not be sustainable for the business. You will fail in the end. Trust
Ooh,
me on this. So I'm
ooh,
proud that I failed. I am really proud because without this, I wouldn't have known the pitfalls I went into. I wouldn't have known how to correct them.
that line
Yeah,
cut deep. I think that was the shots fired at anybody who kind of
exactly.
stumbled upon success accidentally the first
Yeah,
time. Haven't earned it. You gotta be in the trenches and get those
exactly.
scars, and then you earn it.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's a life lesson, by the way. It doesn't only go with business, it goes in the personal life. If you haven't learned and developed, through challenges, you will never be a strong, mature person, independent, capable to succeed and capable to live a good life. Because if you haven't gone through any of the challenges in your life on a personal level, even, you will not be considered a mature person with full experience. Experience is challenge, and challenge causes scars. So you have to go through this journey to be able to stand up stronger.
I like what you're saying there, that failure is actually part of the character building journey that you have to go on.
Yes.
There is no avoiding it. You shouldn't avoid it, and that you
Yes.
should face it head first and dive
Yeah.
in. I love that. I'm getting goosebumps here. Okay. All right. I'm already having fun in this conversation, Yasmina. Okay.
Me too.
I'm gonna I'm
So,
I'm I'm gonna
yeah.
stop interrupting you here. You were
Okay.
sharing your experience of some past companies and lessons learned
Yeah.
here.
So the first lesson I learned the hard way is you will get a lot of positive messages. You will get a lot of wows, that's amazing. This doesn't mean anything. So
Do you mean, sorry,
surprise.
just for context, like if you're sharing your idea with prospects, you mean?
Yeah. If you're sharing your idea with a potential customer or prospect, and the reaction that you receive is, wow, that's amazing, and that's it, then he's not interested, meaning that he doesn't understand your solution. So, for customers to be interested, they need to ask questions, they need to challenge you. They
Mm,
need to go deep and get you more and more in a position where you have to explain more about your services and how this will solve their pain point. If you're not going through a conversation that ends up with solving pain points clearly and you just have the wow effect, no, deep down, this is a lost customer. This is lesson number one. I received a lot of wows, and zero customer.
right.
So this
A
brought
lot of
me to, yeah, a lot of,
go ahead.
wow, that's amazing solution. How did you come up with such a thing? They acknowledge your personality, they acknowledge you being smart, they acknowledge the business model, but they didn't get it. They didn't get how would they benefit from it? How would this business model solve their current pain points? And this is the only thing that sells. So this is a pitfall I went through in the first company, and then I corrected to the second company, changed totally the business model into a straightforward pain solver model. So I don't need to explain myself. I just say the pain, say the solution, and then I have the customer interest. And that's the
Right.
first pitfall. Yeah.
So by clearly acknowledging the pain, then it gives the prospect or the customer a chance to
Yeah.
relate and say, yes, we experience that, right? So
Yeah.
they then have a connection or investment in there because they're like, okay, we're feeling this, we need to solve this. Now
Yeah.
they're invested in finding out more about it. And I like what you're saying
Exactly.
there too, the distinction between people that are just kind of like fluffy and nice and
Yeah.
polite, which maybe initially kind of feels good to receive that, but you're right,
Mm.
it's lacking a certain amount of depth that
It's misleading.
somebody who's
Yeah.
genuinely interested in purchasing from you
Mm.
is going to want to go deeper, ask more questions, to ask the kind of questions, okay, if we were to do this,
Mm.
how does this integrate into our systems? Do we need to get Joe from IT, like
Yeah.
those kind of more questions to really get into the nitty
Yeah.
gritty of how they would actually use it. Is that fair to say?
Exactly. Exactly. And the second pitfall I went through is when you launch a new company, even if you're a celebrity, even if you're a public figure, still customers don't know you in person and don't know you professionally. And they only build trust by time. So, to avoid this problem, I had faced it in my first company when I was a public figure, and I was a public speaker. I got global rewards, but still it was not enough. So, when you start up a business, my previous business was a big ticket price. So it has to, because it was a very complex, very way advanced technology than the maturity of the countries back then. It has to cost a lot of money. It involves a massive product implementation and a massive professional services to apply upon. To prevent that, this caused zero customers, zero invoicing whatsoever, because there is no time to build trust. There is no other model in payment except the big bulk amount of money. So
Mhm.
this is why it failed. My current company, I corrected this by, first of all, applying flexibility in payment. So I have the monthly payment, I have the annual payment. I split it by tiers. So you can buy only what you need. So if you need, I don't know, 50 leads, you can go ahead and buy the 50. You don't have to buy a minimum 200. No. If you need 1,000, you can buy 1,000. If you need in between, you can choose the count you need and you can only pay for it. And you don't have to commit annually. You can commit monthly and try it as a POC, or you can commit annually for long-term and cost reduction purposes and scalability. So the idea of pitching a new product when you are in a new company launching, you need to find a way to give the customer the opportunity to try things out with you, to build the trust with minimal ticket size. So, and this is the second lesson I learned the hard way.
Okay. Okay. So again, offering kind of flexible pricing or package
Yeah,
sizes depending on the level of trust that they have
yeah,
with you, but then also based on their needs, they can find,
yeah,
okay, this is the right one for us. And for somebody who's just getting to know you, they can start with like a small little trial package,
yeah,
test it out, see it works, and get to know you and trust you. I
exactly.
like I like that aspect of building trust because you're right. I do feel like a lot of companies, and again, every company is a little bit different, but the
Of course.
like the term a paywall, right? Where it's like, okay, if you want the goods, you got to pay, and sometimes that paywall can be so big and large, and maybe involves a multi-year contract, and you're like, whoa, 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 hold on,
Yeah,
I don't know who this person is yet. I'm not ready to commit to that. So I like that
yeah,
you've broken it down into smaller bite-sized pieces to allow people
exactly.
to get their foot in the door and to test it out and try it. I
Yeah.
I do want to go back to though what you were saying though before about in the past, right? You had
Mm,
a history as a public speaker, and you had a public persona, and people knew you. And I do want to just dive into that a little bit because I am
mm,
curious on this because this is something that I'm personally exploring and learning myself is like
mm,
how to build and establish trust. And if I'm being very transparent here,
mm,
very meta, right? A big part of the reason I started this podcast was for that exact same reason that I wanted to. I'm normally the software developer kind of behind the scenes,
yeah,
and I wanted to start putting myself out there in the world and creating content and sharing
yeah,
sharing stories and talking to fascinating, interesting people like yourself, right? And
thank you.
so I'm curious where I'm going with this question, right? Is if we think of like a salesperson, right?
Mm,
Your typical salesperson is kind of an anonymous salesperson, right?
mm,
That they work for a company, they have a job, they have to sell a thing, they show
mm,
up at a prospect or a client's office, and they're like,
mm,
"Hey, I'm selling this thing," right? And maybe the prospect has heard of the company that the salesperson works for, maybe they haven't, but the salesperson themselves is kind of an anonymous person. Is there any value that you see to, you know, entrepreneurs,
mm,
salespeople to developing that public persona so that their prospect, before there's any even conversation of having a sale, is already starting to see them, to taste them,
yeah,
they see their videos on LinkedIn, maybe they have
mm,
a TED Talk, I don't know,
mm,
but they're creating content. What do you see as the value of that trust building through creating content, through getting people to know you before
mm.
you ever have a conversation about a sale?
Yeah, it's massive. You have to have that type of community involvement. So, the first step to do is to do your research, go into the relevant communities and join them, participate in their own events, digital or on site. Make sure to offer a free speech or a free participation in their conferences. Try to solve one of the members' pain points. And by doing that, they will feel that you are a trust person and trustworthy person that they can count on. In step two, they will invite you proactively to participate as a speaker in their events, and you, after the event, will ask for the speaker list to contact. And you invite them via LinkedIn, you introduce yourself, and you ask if they need your help or support in any way. So by doing that, you are building your own professional community, you are building your own trust through actions, and you're not behind the scenes anymore. And this it will be the only way to drive business to any professional, regardless if, it was you, software development engineer. I was software development engineer before, and we
Hmm.
have the same major. But I thought that, well, I have to combine my expertise with marketing. I have to combine it with doing some branding for myself. And this is what I started like 12 years ago. And this is what brought me to be a public speaker. So it was done by actions, by involving myself into the entrepreneurship ecosystem, going into the communities, traveling with them, participate with other startups, understanding the mindset of the entrepreneur and the pain points they face. And by doing that, I was able to build this type of communities that I get invited to a global conference to be a speaker in. So this is how it's done. It's crucial for any success, and it's not optional anymore. Going through AI and the digital community that we're in, still the face-to-face interaction and the involvement by supporting others is crucial for any success. This is how I
Right.
see it.
I love what you said there. You reminded me of a quote by Dan Kennedy, who is a famous copywriter.
Yeah,
Um, and he had an expression of changing yourself from being an unwanted pest to a welcome guest,
yeah,
right? And I think for anybody who's done sales before, I think, we know the experience of, doors being slammed in our faces and
yeah,
people hanging up on us and, not responding to our DMs. Why?
yeah,
It's because we're showing up as an unwelcome pest. We're
yeah.
there, we're interrupting them, we're annoying them. And I really like what you said, so I'm gonna repeat it in terms of your strategy here is to find, first of all, first step, I mean, know who your clients are, right?
Yeah.
Then find what are the conferences that they attend. By knowing your clients, okay, what is at least one pain point that they experience, right? So you've done your research, you're showing some empathy, that you
Yeah.
understand your clients, you understand the pain that they're going through. This
Mhm.
speech is not about, you and what you want to talk about. It's about your clients and their pain. And then reach out to attend the conference and
Mhm.
get on stage, give a speech talking about you know, how you would solve and alleviate that pain point. In doing so, you're giving tremendous amount of value. You're now the person up on stage. You have a certain level of authority, of trust
Mhm.
that's granted through that. Now the script has flipped. Now you're no longer an unwelcome. Sorry, now I'm messing it up. You're now a welcome guest,
Yes.
because now you're somebody that they want to have in their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say for anybody who says, okay, that's maybe too much of a big jump. I'm still a little nervous. I'm an introvert. You want me to give a speech? Oh wow. Are there any little kind of more incremental baby steps that you might recommend somebody takes?
Yeah. So,
And on that, were you always this naturally confident on camera and on stage, or did you have to work on that yourself?
okay. So, well, I think that because I'm outgoing person, I'm spontaneous, I talk freely all the time. I don't have usually fear of public speaking or fear of stage, but when the first 5 seconds when I get up on stage, I feel like I'm freezing. So I feel like I got into the freezer and can't move just for 5 seconds. What I do, and this is the tips and tricks, I stopped seeing anyone in standing in front of me. I stopped seeing the people. I just focus on one single point, which can be the light in the end of the stage. Don't look at any faces. Just blur the screen and imagine you are in your living room talking to yourself, and just start by saying hello. And once you start talking and introducing yourself, you will find that the tension automatically decrease. And as soon as you start speaking, focusing on the light or focusing on the screen, without focusing on any faces, it will lower the level of cholesterol and it will lower any stress in your body and will make you more confident in what you're saying. You can start by a joke. You can start
Mm-hmm.
by a little thing that grabbed the hook, or you can start by saying, "Oh, guys, are you still sleepy? Can I get you some coffee? Come on, this is after lunch. Don't make me feel like you want to sleep after having this heavy meal." Anything you can
Mm-hmm.
say will break the ice, will make the people laugh. Once the people laugh, then you are relieved from the stress. And this is how I do it. I don't usually talk formally like, "Hello, everyone." I don't like this way. I always talk in a friendly yet professional way, but it's a fine line between being too professional and too by the book and being a clown. So you have to have the line in between, which is breaking the ice in an informal way, yet getting this hook and driving the presentation into a formal way so that you grab people attention. The second tip and trick, which is very crucial, do a surprise. All of my stage and public speaking, I do an unplanned surprise. I take the mic and go down from the stage to the people and I ask a random
Okay.
question.
Okay.
And I don't
This is
form.
bold. Bold.
I did it many times before. It's very bold, and the cameraman goes walking through behind me, on the stage. They don't know what I'm doing. I didn't inform any of the sponsors or any of the holders of the event that I will do so. It's all by surprise. I planned it with myself, but I
Mhm.
didn't share it, and it's meant to be. So I go down, I leave the stage, I go to the people, the cameraman is behind me with the spotlight behind me. I go randomly pick some audience and ask a related question to the presentation that I'm giving and testing if they were concentrating or not, but not too technical question so that I don't embarrass them. Nevertheless, I take it lightly with a laugh. So by doing
Okay.
so, they get engaged. I don't cause any discomfort to any of the people that I ask randomly. Nevertheless, when I go up on stage again, they're focusing 100% with me. And that's trick number 2.
Got it. Okay, so you add a little pop quiz
Yes.
in the middle of your speech just to make sure
Yeah.
people are paying attention, and then after that they're definitely paying attention because like this might
Yes.
I don't want this to happen to me. That is I just got some like butterflies on that one because I was like that's bold. I was like
It's
that's
bold.
whew, I'm feeling nervous just thinking about it. I'm like could I do that? I'm gonna have to think about that one. I
It doesn't
like
have
it.
to be technical. It just have to be related to the topic that you were saying and pointing out to their pain points.
Hmm.
So you can ask a question related to the topic and ask, what are you suffering from that is related to this that I was talking about, regardless of what it was? And then you can build a hook. They can start talking, even if they don't know the answer, but they can start talking about their pinpoints, and you can relate it by repeating what they said to the topic of interest that you were presenting on the stage.
Right. Okay. Okay. So I love this. I love this. Again, talking about how to start to build your own authority,
Yeah,
reputation, to have your own maybe following, depending on how you want to grow this. But having people getting to know you, like
yeah,
you, and trust you, and then having that as a let's say a lubricant to then facilitate the rest of the business conversation.
yeah,
Okay. So it
yeah,
sounds like you've spent a good chunk of your career mastering those aspects of it.
yeah.
Now you've taken that, and again, my apologies. I know I interrupted you. Somewhere in those life lessons there, we were talking about working with clients and building trust.
Yes,
And I know when we talked last time, you were also talking about the importance of doing extensive market research
yes.
to to get to the point where you figured out what it is that you need to sell. Can you tell us a little bit about market research and why you didn't just, decide to start a business just because you felt like it?
Well, this is pitfall number 3. So what I did is that I went to launch a business with the latest technology ever, the most complicated one that nobody in the region knows about. And I thought I will be the pioneer. I don't have any competition. I will do a thing from scratch. It's very innovative, and it really was. But the idea is that I didn't do market research from a customer point of view on ground. Meaning, I didn't link that to the pain points they suffer. I didn't link that to the maturity of the customer. Nowadays, back then, I didn't link it with the budget readiness, and I didn't link it with the maturity of technology per region, per country. So the pitfall caused me that I spent a lot of money in the capital raising the company. And when I pitched it, I received a lot of wows, but nobody was ready mentally or physically to get on board with such complicated technology that they're way behind and their ecosystem doesn't actually support it. It was the wrong timing for it for them, although they were amazed to hear about it and they say, well, we have an innovative mindset here, but it's not for us. We're way behind. So I corrected that in my current company. I shifted the model. I chose a common global pain point for all customers across all industries, which is the sales prospecting cycle, which costs money, time, and effort with 2 to 5% max closure rate. So I thought this is a common pain point. All the industries suffer globally from this. Let's find a solution for it. And beforehand, one of my pitfalls was a bulk of money, including products, including professional services, including architectures. But this time, when I launched the company, I thought I don't need to make the customer actually buy all this. He can only buy what he wants. So if you would like a lead in a specific industry, in a specific city, me or we as a company, when I build the architecture, we have a centralized capital for all this. So we pay on the customer behalf the platform, we pay on the customer behalf the architecture, and we do everything. And he only pays the professional service per count of leads. So he doesn't have to have budget approval, a board of directors approval. It doesn't have to be that complicated. And in the long term, although the profitability for us will not be as much, it will be a very minimal budget, but the long term, it will be sustainable because this is what the customer wants. They would like a growth partner, not just a company with a hit and run methodology.
Right.
So this is what I learned and this is how I applied it.
One thing, so I was taking a look through your LinkedIn and I came across a quote on one of your posts here, and I wanted to share it because I really
Yeah.
liked it,
Yeah.
which was that in engineering, if a system fails 99% of the time,
Yeah.
we fix it. In sales, we just call it the grind.
Yeah.
And I love that because there's always been a part of me in the back of my mind that is like, why does sales have to be so hard, right?
Yeah.
And that's the perception of sales. That's that for the most part, that's the reality of sales, right? I
Yeah.
almost sometimes think it's kind of a badge of honor that like I think good salespeople like that it's
Yeah.
hard because then it makes them look amazing. But
Yeah.
it reminded me of a movie. Do you know the movie Glengarry Glen Ross?
Yeah.
You do. Okay, perfect. For anybody who doesn't know, it's a movie. It's from the 90s. It's got Al Pacino, Alec Baldwin, Kevin Spacey in it. And it's a movie about salesmen, which you'd think wouldn't be great, but it's actually one of my favorite movies. And what I wanted to share from it is just kind of how they approach sales in the movie, because the movie is about these like depressed, miserable real estate salesmen. They really don't like their jobs. They're not very good at it. They have a sales manager that's like abusive and
Yeah.
berates them. He's got a very famous speech in the movie. For anybody who hasn't seen it, I highly recommend it. But they all like they work long nights. They're out in the middle of the night in like rainstorms, chasing up these leads and these prospects, talking to people, trying to sell real estate, and just going nowhere because again, they don't have the trust, right? So none of their prospects know them, like them. They're just some random salesperson showing up to their house in the middle of the night, and just it's a grind, right? And they all hate it. They're all miserable. But one of them, played by Al Pacino, does things a little bit differently because he is actually successful in the movie. Like the one of them that is successful, and his strategy is a little bit different. I'm just sharing the story kind of as an analogy because I think it's similar to you, how you looked at this and you're like, why does it have to be so hard? Let's do something
Yeah.
different here. His strategy, so he didn't even use the leads provided by the company, right? He's just like, I'm just
Mhm.
going to do my own thing. He would just go to different bars and just sit down, have a drink, and just start talking to people, having conversations with people, and talk about, life and philosophy, and just talk about different interesting things. And he would create connections with people, and like,
Yeah.
in the course of a night, make a new friend. And through building that relationship, then at some point in the conversation, this other person would mention something about, oh, talking with my wife about, buying real estate or something, and then he would just kind of casually slip in. It's like, oh yeah, I happen to know these few places for sale, right? And so he had a completely different strategy that was more based on building connections with people
Yeah.
first, right? Instead of just showing up a stranger in the middle of the night being like, hey, do you want to buy some real estate? Like some kind of, real estate drug peddler or something, like, you want some property, kids? He was working on building actual connections with people. And so for him, sales was not a grind. And so I, again, love to hear your story here about why, first of all, why did you have the audacity to say, does this have to be so hard? And
Yeah.
then what was your approach to changing that?
Well, this is the exact question. Does it have to be so hard? We have a real estate brokers, like tracking us nonstop 24/7. You have no idea the amount of phone calls and WhatsApp messages I receive on a daily basis, over 3,000. I refuse to change my number because that has been my professional number since I was, 20 years ago. But I kept on blocking and reporting these numbers. And when I started saying, please don't call me, I'm not interested, they ignore what I'm saying and they keep on calling me more and more and more. And they give my number to other companies that I didn't authorize. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is pain. It's a severe pain and privacy violation. Business can never thrive this way. So the
Okay, I
other
just
way around
I just
is,
wanna just for context there, because again, I think what you said is really important.
yeah,
Once upon a time, maybe 20 years ago,
yeah,
your name appeared on a list somewhere. Sorry, did
yeah,
you say was this real estate or just general?
yeah, real
Yeah.
estate.
Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah. So your name once upon a time showed up on a
yeah,
on a real estate lead list
yeah,
somehow. Maybe you
yeah,
wanted it there at the time. Maybe you didn't. Who knows?
yeah,
But then they took that and then basically started abusing your trust, right?
exactly.
Started calling you all the time, effectively harassing you even when you
Yeah,
said no,
yeah.
and then sharing your number with other companies, other people started
Yeah.
calling you. And how does that make you feel? Does that make you excited to go buy some real estate?
Wow, no, no, that changed my mind from buying actually. So I thought, no, I will not buy real estate. I'm good. So they did a reverse thing in a bad way. So they lost an interested customer because this is direct violation to privacy, direct
Hmm.
violation to your own decision. Every human has the right to refuse or accept the type of service according to their needs. You
Hmm.
cannot impose a service, regardless of what it is, to anybody and make them buy it. These are not prisoners. So we have the right to say no, and you have to respect that. And this is
Hmm.
bold underlined statement because this is what happens in business. I used real estate brokers as an example, but some other businesses, keeps on sending emails nonstop, nonstop. Even if you said that you are not interested for the time being, this is not smart. But the smart thing would be, and this is how I reverse it, from being so hard to being so easy, is giving value.
Hmm.
Meaning, when you send an email, you do your market research, and that's very, very important.
Hmm.
You know beforehand what this customer is looking for, what this customer pinpoint is, the opportunities in the market for this customer. You get him his own opportunity, you get him his own lead and contact information, and send an email with no introduction saying, Dear sir, with the name of the person, of course, and then you hit on the target. You said, well, I have been doing my research. I found that this is an opportunity for you to close the business, and this is the intent, and this is the gift, and this is the contact info. I'm just sending you this to try to build the trust with you. Go ahead and work with it with your team, and if you find it really valuable, then we can schedule a call and discuss a pilot. This is how I do it. I said before, never give anything for free, but this is not anything. It's just one lead, but it is to the core. You did your exercise. He knows that you're powerful enough to know this info before any pre-introduction from anybody. You send them the details, you send them the full lead, and you give them time to test it.
Hmm.
And once they're back, you're sure that because you did your homework, They will come back because it's a valid lead and they need it actually. Then once they come back, then you can discuss further details and introduce yourself and discuss the pilot, etc. But without that, how would they know you to build a trust with you to even initiate a call? And this is how I do it.
Right. And I think what you've done there is, and I think part of the problem with sales terminology too is it's a little aggressive, right? It's a
Yes,
little it's got kind of like hunting metaphors in
yes,
it. And I think it does a disservice to the industry because you treat your prospect like it's a target, right?
yeah,
And in a way you start to dehumanize them. And I think
exactly.
what you've done there is you flip the script and you say, no,
Yeah,
no, no. If you actually want to be good at sales,
yeah,
what you need to do is um, show your prospect, show your customer a tremendous amount of respect to acknowledge, acknowledge who they are as a
yeah,
person, to
yeah,
acknowledge, to have done your homework, like you said, to understand, okay,
yeah,
what are the actual pains that they are going through, and showing up and saying, hey, I understand that. I got a
yeah,
little something for you. I think this is going
yeah,
to help you out.
exactly.
And
You
that
have to act,
flipping that
flip it
changes thing.
100% and act like a trusted advisor and growth partner, not act like a hit and run salesperson, not act like they are a target, like you've mentioned, and you're a hunter. No, it doesn't work this way. And they need to feel that from the email or LinkedIn message you will send. And even if you will follow up is good, but only follow up once or twice max and then leave them. You cannot keep on following up, on a couple of times a week or monthly, many times. No, some customers take a lot of time. Some customers are faster than others. It's according to, a lot of things, their ecosystem, their industry, their involvement in other projects, etc. So appreciate that. And when the customer feels that you are really here to help them, not to grab money out of their wallet, they will act differently.
Agreed. And
Yeah,
this is why I actually like to, if at all possible, and it's not always possible, but
yeah,
to connect with a prospect on LinkedIn, right?
yeah,
The reason for that being is, let's say I want to reach out to them and initially they're not interested, right? Okay, it's
yeah,
life, it happens.
yeah,
You got to be comfortable with rejection. But it means if we're connected on LinkedIn and I start posting content on LinkedIn, which as a side note, I must admit I'm a little guilty. I've not been great at that recently. Something I'm working on. But if I then start posting content on LinkedIn, there's a chance that 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road, they've seen a few of my posts.
yeah,
And, maybe when I was initially reaching out to them, they had some other stuff going on. Who knows? There's a million reasons why it wasn't the right time
exactly.
then. But
Yeah,
then there's an opportunity that a little seed might be planted that in the future that door may open up again. And I think what I'm trying to convey here for people is, again, don't there's a fine line. Like you said, it's a dance.
yeah,
You don't want to abuse people. You don't want to harass
yeah.
people, but to also allow relationships some time to breathe, because just because somebody said no initially doesn't mean that under the right circumstances and conditions, and like you said, showing a lot of respect, that in
Exactly.
the future that may turn into something. So there is still something to being persistent. It's just the right kind of persistent.
Exactly. Know when to pull, know when to push. It's not all or nothing here. So it has to have a balance. Follow up is crucial, but you need to be smart. How many follow ups per month, how many per week? What type of follow ups? Is it WhatsApp? Is it LinkedIn? Is it phone call? According to many factors, the person involvement with other businesses, the seniority, the age, the closeness of this person to you. Is it through referral? Is it through personal connections? Is it purely professional? You need to understand which channel to be used to which person so that you have the right follow up equation in place. Otherwise, it can be converted to harassment, which we don't want. So, this is the, the fine line.
Counterproductive. Do not
Yeah,
become a
exactly.
harasser.
Yeah, counterproductive. I agree. I agree.
So
So, you need
I'm
to be wise with that. That's a key for any
mhm.
salesperson.
I'm curious now. Okay, so you've done your market research. You've been talking to people. You understand. Okay, this is a global phenomenon, a very
Yeah.
common issue for businesses in terms of needing leads for their business. Now, on that, because again, I also really love talking about sales and marketing, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that is the problem, is it a quantity issue or a quality issue or both? Because most companies
Mm.
have systems in place for
Yes.
generating leads, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I guess what my question where I'm going with this is what is wrong with most businesses' current lead generation systems? And then where does your company come in? How do you do things different?
Well, that's a brilliant question, Arthur. So the pain point is the wrong data source, as simple
Okay.
as it is. So
So
it's
like the
both
wrong,
quantity and quality. The
okay,
wrong data source is the issue because what we used to do, and now because of the digitization era, things has changed. But what we used to do in the old days is do a lot of paid marketing campaigns, do a lot of events participation, a referral, CRMs, etc. And combine all these paid efforts into the database and then give it to the sales to try on knocking on doors and see how many of these random pool of data will be interested to convert. Process
right,
takes 6 to 9 months according to the complexity of the business that they're trying to sell, and the closure rate is 2 to 5% maximum because the data source is wrong. We use the wrong platforms to get business deals. The platforms are called social media. So these platforms are made to build social connections, not
right.
business.
So we're talking about like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Yes, LinkedIn is the only exception because it's the only social business community.
Mm,
But the rest are not coded and not programmed to be building business deals. They're
hmm
not.
hmm
So the idea of the combo of what we use in qualified AI leads, which is the name of the company, by the way, I haven't
hmm
mentioned. It's called
hmm
qualified AI leads. We use the combo of four technologies. So AI, data mining, machine learning, and social listening all together. We do data scraping across the World Wide Web. So anything on the internet whatsoever, wherever it is, we scrape it. We link it with the business criteria that's given from the customer himself. So the customer comes to us saying, well, I need a qualified lead in this specific industry using these technologies in this location, would like to buy this service. I would like to talk to this title in this department with this seniority. He gives us all the criteria he's searching for. So it's
hmm
not a random pool of data. There is no campaign, there is no ads involved, nothing. We take the criteria, we do the data scraping using data mining, machine learning, and then we give him the prospects that is matching what he is actually looking for. And then after that, we validate it, of course, to avoid the hallucination of the AI. And we do dual verification by human, by AI. And then we complete the missing piece of the puzzle, which is how would we know that these customers would like to buy your service? So we link this to a real-time intent to buy. So we classify the customers of his interest to who from these customers would like my service now and have the budget for it. And according to the real-time intent to buy, these are only the qualified AI leads we offer our customers in order to approach and close their deals. And this is how we do it. So
Okay.
it's a
I
different model and
I
it's not random anymore. We use the science instead of random ads with a lot of money for nothing.
so I'm very curious on that last piece there about the prospects or the leads intent to buy here because I know so again I've been on the marketing side of things running ads on platforms like LinkedIn, like
Yeah.
Google, like Facebook, right? And so I
Yes.
know these platforms have they have an ability, is it perfect? Of course it's not. An ability to kind of read somebody's, again, intent to buy something, right?
Yes.
Like if you're
Yes.
on Google and you're searching for something like, where to buy a lawn chair, right?
Mm.
Google can read that search question
Yes.
and
Yes.
can infer, and then maybe if you have a few different searches, like how do I buy a blue lawn chair, right?
Mm.
Google could say, "Hey, they're in the market for a lawn chair. I'm gonna,
True.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna show them an ad from one of
Yeah.
our advertisers to buy a lawn chair, right?"
True.
And, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Similar again, if you're posting, content on certain things. And again, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly how they know all the things that they know and all the things that they're monitoring. Sometimes I find it interesting, sometimes it's a little creepy. But they obviously have their platforms in place
Yeah.
so that they can track user behavior and then they can infer somebody's intent to buy. I'm very curious now if you're able to share this, or if this is secret sauce, tell me no, but I'm just
No, no,
genuinely
I
curious to
can.
know, how do you guys figure out somebody's intent, whether they would intent to buy your customer's product that they're selling?
Yeah. Well, this is our trick that I will share it with you. So you're the first to know this. We use keywords. The trick
Okay.
is unifying the same keyword that we use for the service that we include in the customer business criteria in the beginning with the same keyword in the real-time intent to buy. So when the customer would like to sell, I don't know, anything, mortgage, for example, we
Mhm.
use the same keywords in the services that they would like to sell in the real-time intent to buy. And we keep track of this keyword from the employees of the companies that are classified as qualified leads and measure their activity digitally by scoring. We say they searched for this keyword in many platforms across the web, and they searched for the pain point that this keyword as a service will solve. They requested a meeting, they did whatsoever publicly on the internet, and we score each action by points. And we
Okay.
have the very high intent to buy, medium, low are discarded automatically from the system. And we have the very high, and these will be the companies or the leads that are qualified actually looking for this service right now. And it is real time, meaning if you looked a year ago, it will not show. It will
Right.
only show the real time. So the trick is in the keyword. Once you unify the keyword from the service and unify it in the real-time intent to buy and search on the internet. So it's a World Wide Web data scraping, not per platform.
Okay.
So
Okay. So
anything will be grabbed.
I'm curious how you get access to that data. Like, do you work with data brokers, or how do you get
No,
that?
no. Well, we have a lot of USA tools that we use as partners and customers to be able to have each task is called by Google APIs with the tool responsible for this task. So we have many tools in the back end of our architecture, and we
Mhm.
use each tool to generate the info we need that this tool provides. In the end of the architecture, we cross-check all the inputs and outputs with other AI tools to evaluate the results and with human expert validation. And then we link it with the real-time intent to buy through social listening tools. And then after that, we generate the qualified AI leads. So it's
Okay.
a bunch of tools, and we build the architecture, we combine it together via Google APIs, and we call it, and then we verify it and give it to the customer. And it's
Got it.
all USA secure tools and publicly, nothing that we can see is private, actually. We only work across the internet. That's all public information there, but we use the science to get what we want.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So really kind of collecting data from all these different sources, running it
Yes.
through AI for analysis to say, okay, connect all the dots here, and does this person fit all of the criteria? Okay. So to me, then this sounds like, okay, the leads that you're generating, then, if on the quality scale here, you're on the upper end of
Yes.
quality, right? It's
Yes.
kind of the analogy I'm going to go with here is the difference between like generating leads on Facebook versus generating leads on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
LinkedIn leads they're going to be more expensive,
Yeah.
but you pay for what you get, right? They're going to be
Exactly.
higher quality, they're going to be
Yeah.
professionals, they're going to be the types of people that you want to meet. So you're really trying to hit the bullseye here and get those highly qualified leads that both meet your customers' kind of requirements of what they look for in an ideal
Yeah.
customer, but then also that the lead has an intent that this is something that they want. So you're trying to connect both sides, that both parties are going to benefit
Yeah.
from this. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you're now generating these leads, they're higher quality. So to me it sounds like a no-brainer, right? Start showing up to companies and Well, actually, let's just back up for a second. So again, most companies already have a lead gen system in place. And so
Yeah.
what do you think is wrong with their current systems? Are they sorry, you talked about the lists are terrible. Please forgive me.
But it's
Uh
mainly static. What we offer is science-based real time.
mhm,
So when you combine powerful technology like AI, data mining, social listening, machine learning together, you know actually the exact customer for your customer. So you
mhm,
know the pain point here and you can link both together real time. You are aware of the latest projects. You are aware if there is an open bid, you're aware if there is a specific hiring in a specific country looking for certain jobs. All these types of information is key, and we have the methodology to pick the real-time opportunities and send it to the customer even without the criteria.
right. Right. So where I was going with that question was, okay, your customers, when you show up and when you talk to them, right? Like, are they, and you talk about, the quality of their existing lead lists.
Yeah.
Do you get pushback from them? Like, do they say, no, no, our leads are great, like everything's fine? What are you talking about? 5%, that's fantastic. Or do you get people saying, oh my God, this is so terrible. Why can't we find anybody who can give us good leads? Why is this so difficult? What response do you get from people?
Well, I get a mix of this and that. So it's according to the persona I'm talking to. So sometimes I talk to CEOs who are really into their heads saying, well, I don't believe in AI and machine learning. I need to see people in front of me. And this type will actually prefers 2% closure with his own employees than using AI machine learning to get leads that he doesn't know about. Because this type of people doesn't want to take a risk of something new to them, not new to the market, new to them, and unknown, maybe because they're old age, old fashioned, old minded, whatsoever. So this is a persona I meet. But in the same company, I meet people who are different in the mindset, who pushes for qualified AI leads to be onboarded. And usually, there are internal, arguments between the teams that we would like to try this. It's worth it. We need to increase our profitability. The old way will not make us grow in the next 5 years. And then the CEO argument saying, well, no, it's different. I don't want to risk it. There's always this, I don't know how to call it, but it's pull and push inside the same company with two different teams. One's pro, one is con. And it's exciting actually, because when I go and meet several teams in the company as well as the CEO, when you have this type of interest and type of push and pull, it means that you're going on the right track. It's just that you need to know which team will win, and maybe you find a way to go into the old mindset and try to change it to adopt the AI technology with lowering the risk. Maybe you give them a free lead to test the water so they believe and raise the trust. It's according to who you're talking to. And on the other side, when I speak to CEOs who are different in mindset, they get on board in day one. Day one, they schedule the meeting, they gather all the executive stakeholders, and I give them a lot of work to do because there are a lot of questionnaire to be filled. And they come to me excited actually for the results even before signing any contractual agreement. So I get a mix of both. That's really the market.
Right, right. So you see the full spectrum there. There are some
Yeah.
people that even if they're not in love with their current systems, the systems feel safe. Let's say they've been
Yes.
doing it for years, and while the
Yes.
results have not been fantastic, there have been results, and so changing that feels a little bit scary. And then there's
Yeah.
other people that are ripping their hair out saying this is so awful, we need something
Yeah.
better, and then you show up and they're like, yes, let's have
Yeah.
let's have a conversation on
Exactly.
this. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what are the types of businesses that you specialize in in serving? And then can you give us a little taste for anybody who's listening to this and they're like, all right, my business, we need some leads here. Can you give
Mm.
us a taste of kind of like if we're looking at like a kind of starter intro package, like I don't
Yeah,
know, if somebody wants to say, hey, I'm looking for 10 leads, like what
yeah.
would be kind of a price range that people would be looking at here? Again, just to kind of set the scale here as it were.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, we specialize in SaaS companies, banking, fintech, telecommunications, professional services, system integrators, IT companies, mortgage financing. These are our specialty. Nevertheless, we can serve any industry whatsoever across the globe because the system architecture allows us to do so. So that's the first question. The second would be the pricing range. The beauty of it is it's totally flexible. It has two ways of pricing. So either by count of lead, so which is 5 tiers, starting from 10 leads up to 201 plus, and each of these tiers 10 to 20, 21 to 49, 50 to 90, etc., until you reach to 201 plus, has a specific pricing per lead, and these pricing decrease by volume. So if you start with only 10 leads, you can pay around $100 per lead. But if you increase the count of leads, you lower the cost of lead according to how many leads you need. And this can be monthly or annually. We have another pricing tier, which is the starter, the growth partner, and the enterprise, which is a different pricing done specifically for the starter is for POC, and then the growth partner is the most popular one, which is a monthly payment of a lower cost per leads, and then the enterprise is for massive scalability. If we start with the starter one, this is mainly for the POC. You can start with 15 leads, and you will pay one time only a monthly contract 1,500, so the lead will cost 100. Then after that, if you go to the growth partner, this is the most popular, you can get 200 leads per month, and you can pay K USD per month, and this 200 lead will only cost 40 leads instead of 100. $40 per lead.
Right.
So the gap is huge. And then the enterprise will cost $30 per lead because it's minimum 1,000 plus per month.
Right.
So
Right.
according to what you need, actually, you can have it either this or that or that. It's fully flexible. You can start with a monthly contract and then upgrade to annual contract. There is no commitment to anything whatsoever. You pick what your business really needs. That's the beauty of it.
Right. No, I really appreciate you sharing that because again, that just helps to give some context here in terms of
Yeah.
again the types of business that you best serve. Because again, as you know, there are so many businesses range in the world from
Yeah.
small mom and pop type organizations to big corporations. So
Yeah.
again, just hearing those numbers helps to give people a certain sense of like where they fit in that spectrum. And I think it helps to right? That for businesses to have a sense of, okay, well, what is a lead worth to them, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure,
Exactly.
there will be some people listening to this that hear $100 a lead and they'll think, that's nothing. I pay
Yeah.
$500 a lead. There are
Yeah.
other people that hear $100 a lead and they say, oh my God, I
Yeah.
could never afford that. I need my,
Yeah.
$3 leads off Facebook or
Yeah.
whatever, right? And so, there's a lot of variation out in the world there. I was actually just having a little flashback to when I was doing some marketing work in the past and was doing like Google AdWords for
Yeah.
lawyers, and it's frightening how much they pay per click, not per lead, but per click,
Yeah.
right?
True.
Because for anybody who doesn't know Google Ads, you pay every time somebody clicks on your
Yes.
ad, regardless of what they then
Regardless.
do afterwards. And lawyers for certain legal keywords can pay $100 a click,
Yeah.
$200 a click, like they're
Yeah.
extremely expensive
Yeah.
clicks. And then it may take 7 clicks to get a lead, right? So again,
Exactly.
I'm just saying this just to add some context here. Every business is different
Yeah. That's why, there are packages. If people would like to try POC and they only have minimal budget, $1,000, 1,500, they can try with 10 or 15. But then if they would like to continue, they will not pay that amount of money. They can pay only $30 or $40 per lead according to the count of lead they need per month. So the idea allows business scalability with lower cost as long as you're increasing and you're maintaining it monthly, you pay low and you get more profit. So this is the win-win mindset that I was talking about before.
Right. Really trying to meet your customers where
Yeah,
they're at and having the right package for their situation. Again, I think that's
exactly.
really smart business, and allowing the opportunity to plant the seed of a relationship with a
Yeah,
small investment up front and then
yeah,
grow that over time. Oh, and speaking of time, I know we're a little bit over time here, but I'm having
it's
so much
fine.
fun talking with you, Yasmina, that
Me
I
too.
don't I don't want to end this. But what I'm curious to know then is from your point of view now in running this business, I'm curious to hear the like highs and the lows. Like what has
Mm,
been exciting for you, what has been going well, but then also what have been some of the challenges or unexpected challenges that you've run
mm.
into along the way on this journey?
Well, I'll start with the highs. So the highs, well, it's mainly I spent a year studying the market. I spent a year planning for the model prior the launch. So when I launched it, I knew that this is the pain point to solve and this is the pain point in the market that needs a solution. And I knew that there will be a problem with the big size tickets, yet people would like to try things to build the trust. So
Mm.
I shifted the model many, many times until I reached to this final model that I launched. And when I did, and I received customer feedback saying, this is exactly what we need. So if somebody asks for a POC, they will find, if somebody asks to scale, they will find discounted prices. It doesn't have to have any security limitations like in the banking sector, for example, no cloud versus on-prem implementation, nothing is required. It's just a professional service. You don't need to walk through this hell of approvals, putting firewalls, paying a lot of money. So I tried to solve the challenges before it happened. And when I landed in the market and I went to the first conference and I met all these global companies and I pitched it for the first time, the feedback was amazing, saying that we were looking for a company like you. We didn't know that you guys exist. So this is the highs, is that I understood the market, I tweaked the model to serve the client challenges instead of being one mindseted like the way I did before and pitch an amazing product. Nevertheless, to them, it's not the right one. So this is the high. I'm proud of that. The lows are sometimes you do everything, Arthur. You do everything, many meetings and many late nights, and you don't sleep, and you do everything and you deliver and you get feedback from the customer that these are what we want, but then they ghost you. They were
Mm.
like, they disappear. It happened to me, and it got me a bit frustrated because if you're not interested, why you're wasting your time and mine? Although he knows the prices, he knows the product, he has a POC. He got the feedback saying this is what we want, and then he disappeared. This type of action I receive is a bit like confusing, and it's not. Sometimes I feel it's not worth my time or
Mm.
effort
Okay.
or sleepless nights or for nothing. Why you completed until this stage, and why you entered the POC, and why you made me send you the leads, and you said the feedback, it's good. This is the tricky part. You said it's good, this is what I want exactly, and then you disappear. This type of people I don't really understand. And this what I considered low. But the good news, it's only one customer. It's not really the common methodology with the customers. So I focus on the other customers and I try to physically and mentally discard this customer from my list. But
Right.
it's part of the lows in the business.
Okay. And so is it that everything was sunshine, rainbows, everything was good until the moment, like the moment of truth, the contract
Yes,
was presented, and then oh,
yes,
suddenly then that's when
exactly,
they get
exactly,
cold feet and disappear
exactly.
in that moment. Okay. What would you say, like, if you had to pick kind of one, if you're looking at now, okay, you got your business up and running, you're working on growing it to getting to the next level. What would you say is kind of your biggest pain point at the moment to growing your business?
Well, I think that I expected it would be shorter in terms of time than this. But I learned from my customers that the process takes a lot of time. When you
Patient.
put a timeline, yeah, when you put a timeline which is too fast and this timeline pass and you don't achieve the milestone you have for your own company in that time, you sometimes feel that you're not doing all right. But when you receive customer feedback saying, no, that's totally normal, this is not the logical timeline, this is too fast, the process takes a lot than this. Then you readjust and understand that it's not the business, it's not you, it just takes a lot of time, which you didn't calculate in your plan initially. So this is the expectations. I recommend that none of the startup CEOs put expectations in terms of timeline for themselves and try the best they can, but accept the delay. Because sometimes delay is out of everybody's hands. So accept the delay. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything negative. It just means that things take longer in time than maybe you expected.
Right. To be patient, to be
Yes,
persistent.
patience and persistence all together and consistency. So you need to sleep at night and wake up in the morning and believe that every day you will do and deliver and give some value and never stop, never surrender, because this is when you lose your passion. And this is when you actually will be the one failing your business. Although it can be successful, but this feeling inside can make any business fail because business thrive on passion. And this is how I see it.
I'm curious, do you, for any like marketing agency out there, right, that does lead generation for their clients, do you have some kind of affiliate or referral program for anybody, again, for anybody who's listening and they're like, okay, I really love what Yasmina's saying here. I want to test out these leads. Hey, I've got clients, they need some leads. Like, do you have some kind of affiliate program? Like, would you
I
be open to
do.
working with Okay,
I
please
do.
tell us.
Actually, part of the model that I have is an MOU agreement with partner and reseller agreement and customer agreement. So if a marketing organization or any organization whatsoever would like to have two hats with us, so the hat of the customer for us as qualified AI leads to give them leads for their own business, and another hat as partner and reseller, we sign this MOU together and they can have both hats with discounted pricing for the partners and resellers as well. And they can place the margin they would like to have on board of any deal. And this is how it works. It's a total win-win.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Because yeah, I could definitely see this being a again powerful ally for marketing agencies who've been again feeling frustrated with their
Yeah.
existing lead gen systems, and they're
Yeah.
looking for okay, I need something new. Let's spice things up here. So
100.
okay, I know we're about at time here. Any last thoughts you'd like to share? Also, where can people find you?
Well, I'm available everywhere, so they can find me on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel and qualified AI leads channels on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. And they can find me on LinkedIn. My profile is Yasmina Fahmy. And they can send me via email. They can send me on my WhatsApp, mobile, and I have Egyptian and American mobiles again listed on LinkedIn and the company mobiles listed on the website as well. So I'm available across all channels. Feel free to reach me anytime.
Fantastic. And we'll share the links to your socials, to your website down below in the show notes. Any last any last thoughts that you'd like to share with people here today?
Yes, one last takeaway for any founder and CEO of any startup: believe in yourself and learn from your mistakes. And don't consider failure to be a ship stopper. This is your road to success. Please believe that you have to fail in order to succeed. I truly believe in this, and I think you should believe it too. And don't listen to negatives. Listen to constructive feedback, because sometimes the negative just is just negative. But constructive feedback is really meaningful and can help you develop and succeed. But just negative in order to put your spirits down, just ignore it as if you didn't hear it at all and keep moving.
Yasmina, Fahmy, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today.
Thanks,
I look
Arthur.
forward look forward to keeping in touch and hearing more about your journey
Of
and
course.
as you grow your business.
Of course, the pleasure was all mine. Thank you for this amazing podcast. I hope that the audience will enjoy it as much as we did, and looking forward to connecting with you moving forward.
Fantastic. For anybody who's looking for some AI leads, AI qualified leads, please check them out. Yasmina, thank you so much. See you
Thank you,
soon.
Arthur. Cheers. Bye.